Good evening, my friends. Thursday. Meditation night. It's good to be here, I have to say. Let's see if I'm coming on. Yes, I'm coming online. Nice. I hope everyone's had a good week. I've had a really interesting week. That was fun. I'll discuss a bit more about it later because it actually ties into practice and how practicing can really help with daily life. Like, really help, especially when you start to approach life in a different way. Even though it might not be obvious, and even though the outcome might seem kind of opposite of what you're actually wanting. Yeah, I'll talk more about it later. So anyway, I hope everyone's had a good week and enjoying summer vacation. We started something new, actually. We tried, I don't know if anyone's tried it, but there's something called hydrogenated water. I think that's what it's called. Hey Andres, nice to see you. There's something called hydrogenated water, which is, I'm not entirely sure how it works. My fiance, she loves all these things, and I like that she tries them, and then we can try and see. And it's like a small bottle, and you put the water in, and it releases the hydrogen from the H2O, or it changes it somehow. And it's supposed to be really healthy, and apparently in Japan it's really big, so maybe it's good. I don't know. It'll be fun to see. We started taking it yesterday, and yeah, I feel good. So I don't know if that's part of it, but maybe it helps. Let's see. How about you, Andreas? How has your week been? You had a good week? You enjoying do you have vacation now, or is it like, are you one of the people who work more during summer than not? Like some vocations you actually have high season during the summer, and then you just have to work, which is kind of nice actually. It's just you have to postpone your vacation. I used to work as a child, not as a child, but as a kid. I think I was 14 when I got my first job, and it was at an ice cream parlor. We would stand and like scoop ice cream, and I did that for many years, like 5 years, I think 4 years or something. And then it changed into, I went to the beach and sold ice cream on the beach, which was actually amazing, and I really enjoyed it. It's nice being out in the summertime. And so yeah, summer jobs are okay, like doing like that, if you enjoy what you're doing. If it's something you hate, then obviously it's bad no matter what you do. Hey JVB, nice to have you here. I forgot, JVB, you were in America, right? Do you have vacation now, or are you working? As I was thinking about it the other day, I thought that, actually not the other day, but like a week or two ago, I thought maybe there's no point in having the guided meditations during summer because everyone's just going to be out sunbathing or surfing or something. But there seems to be quite a few people coming in, so apparently people are staying online and doing stuff, which is nice. Hey Stephen, I'm working, but about 1 week I'm going on holiday. Nice. Yeah, I mean, if you're in Sweden, then you haven't missed anything. Well, was it last week? The week before last week we had such nice weather, and then next week I think it's gonna rain. This week it's rained most of the time, so you're not really missing much. But it's just more time to meditate, right? You can always meditate more. And I'm in a small holiday. Well, it's nice. Are you planning on going away somewhere, or just taking it relaxing? I remember when I was younger, I always thought, okay, when you have vacation, you need to go somewhere. Like, you need to do stuff, and you need to go places and like experience things. And now I really enjoy doing nothing, like just being calm. And it's also fun when you have kids, because for kids it's easier to think that kids want to go to Disney World or go to some big amusement park, but for them it's kind of, I know my youngest one is only 2, and we can go to the local supermarket and look at like decorations, and that's better than Disney World for, I mean, it's the same as Disney World for him, because it doesn't really matter. It's just we as adults tend to think like, no, it needs to be big, it needs to be a certain way, but the kids don't mind. And then yeah, it is actually really nice to just relax and kind of catch up with life, because when you're a parent there's so much to do, and you need to keep your house in order, your family in order, your economics in order, and economy in order, and like everything. So it's nice to kind of get a solid break where you just have time to catch up. And in Sweden they have, correct me if I'm wrong here, Andreas, but I think it's 3 or 4 weeks continuously you have to take every year. So you have to take off 3 weeks continuously. I think it is. I'm not entirely sure. But it's a nice thought behind it. Andreas, I plan to go mountain hiking in Lapland. Oh, I always wanted to do that. Like Kebnekaise is the highest mountain in Sweden, and I have friends who, like, you can take hikes for weeks, just walk up, and there's cabins up in the mountains you can walk. It's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous scenery, and I always wanted to do that. Fortunately, my knees are bad now, so I'm not sure I would dare to go that far, because they'd have to lift me out with a helicopter if something went wrong. But I do enjoy hiking. That'll be nice, Andreas. JVB, both. I've stayed at home and made small travels to surrounding places. Nice. 4 weeks, says Andreas. Well, we'll have 20 minutes of meditation, and then we'll have a little chat afterwards. I have something I want to talk about practice that I think might be interesting to share. I think I'll probably make a video about it also, because it really hits home about, I mean, if you've been in the spiritual space, you've run into a law of attraction and all of that, and I've always kind of found that there's something interesting there, but at the same time it always seemed like they're missing the point somehow. But I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I'll tell a story later that will kind of show why I believe that. Not that there's anything wrong with it or bad, it's just that they're missing the point with what at least we're trying to do here. So, let's see. As normal, we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. And for those of you who are new, the way we do it is we say out aloud 5 things that we can see, 4 things we can hear, touch, 3 things we can hear, 2 things we can smell, and 1 thing that we can taste. And the whole reason for doing this is because we want to come back to our senses. And when you do this, it's not that you like, okay, list off, I can see a carpet, chair, foot, stool, and outlet. It's not about doing them. This is really one of those things. It's not about, you could just skip all the others and just do one of them if you do it thoroughly. The whole point is that you come back and become aware that, oh, I'm actually seeing something. And also look at that seeing. Is there a lot of interpretation? And can you see that many times there's a emotional reaction to things, and we try not to do that. We're just trying to see shapes, colors, without necessarily naming them. And it's not the naming that's the problem, it's that you feel different. I like this one more than that one. So we're just trying to, in the purest way we can, observe through our senses. And then after that, we sit for 20 minutes. And yeah, we'll have a question and answer or a chat afterwards. So you can say it together with me, say it out aloud if you can. It is obviously possible to say it for yourself, but it helps to say it out loud unless it disturbs your surroundings. So I see a lamp, I see a small flashlight, I see a painting from my father, I see a microphone silencer kind of thing, and a fire alarm. So those were 5 things that I could see. And then we take 4 things that we can touch. I can touch the stand for my microphone. I can touch a really interesting wallpaper over here that feels like fabric. I can touch this woolen sofa. And I can touch the baton or stick that I used to ring the bell. Then after that we take 3 things that we can hear, and the lower we go, the more you have to focus and become aware. So I can hear the fan of the AC, and I can hear the fan of my computer. And I can hear some kind of bird sound. Bird singing. Yes, there it is. Then after that we take 2 things that we can smell. So let's see. I can smell cold air. I can smell sweat. And finally we take 1 thing that we can taste. I can taste rooibos tea. As usual, if you want to, you can continue meditating or just have a cup of tea, and it's open for question and answers if you have any. It really is, if you sit and you feel, oh, I would like to sit longer, then just sit and listen. It's quite nice. I used to go to a lot of, I lived in meditation centers for 6 years, and there was often Dhamma talks, they call them, where monks or lay people who had meditated a lot would come and talk about different subjects. And usually I'd just sit and meditate. I wouldn't pay so much of focus always to what they were saying. I just see that as a background sound, almost like a chant sometimes, and I just keep on meditating, because there's a flow to your meditation. But when you've been sitting enough, it's not really that you need the timer, it's more that you sit down, and then there's kind of a process that goes on for the amount of time you sit, and that can last very different times. For me, it usually lasts between half an hour to 50 minutes, like that's like the span, sometimes an hour, but usually it's well, it can last longer also, but generally it's half an hour to 50 minutes. That's how long I just sit, because then I'm like, okay, now I'm done, and then it's over. So if you feel that way now, then you just keep on sitting, or you can just type a question and then keep on meditating. Whatever works best for you. I wanted to say also, before I spoke about how I had an experience that was very interesting, and it has to do with how people view law of attraction. I was really into law of attraction when I was younger, because I wanted the world to be a certain way, and I wanted things to happen a certain way. And I still do want things to happen a certain way, and I do want the world to be a certain way. But there's something different about that. And what happened recently was that there was something quite big in my life that was happening that caused a lot of issues. And we need to solve it. It just needed to be solved. And it touched something that was really deep inside of me that I have for a long time reacted towards, that I found. We all have these things that make us like, oh, this is difficult. And that was what this was to me. It doesn't really matter what it was. It was just something that really touched a core part of me that the self goes in and wants to fight. And instead of, I still did what I needed to solve the situation, but I tried to not do too much action. And instead I focused on how I was distorting towards it, meaning how I felt when I thought about it is not how I want it to be now. And I would watch this like that. It would just push and pull me in different directions. And if you do law of attraction, the idea is that, well, then you visualize that it solves itself, and you sit there and you're enjoying, feeling good because it happened the way you wanted it to, and then you're happy, and it's like, yes, you feel it as if that was happened. The problem is that there's still a self there. There's still if you want to make things happen a certain way, that can work. I'm not saying it doesn't. It's just not very efficient many times. And there's still me. It means that I'm just pretending. It's just a new way of getting stuff. Because I believe that if I can just get this one thing, then I can be happy. If I can just make this happen, then I will be happy. And when it's something that's really vital that you need to happen, it's not that we should just say, okay, well, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, whatever happens. No, we need to do and work towards things happening a certain way. But this feeling of, oh, if it turns out this way, then I will allow myself to be happy. If it doesn't, then I will I will make myself feel bad. And so what I did with this was that I did the action I needed, and I focused on how I was distorting. I did not visualize an outcome. I didn't say, oh, I want it to be this way and try to feel positive about it. Instead, I brought my awareness back to my senses, and basically the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, but without that method, and just being aware of what was happening around me, of playing with my kids and seeing, oh, you know what, it's beautiful. Seeing my son sitting there smiling, laughing at me and joking, and then throwing food on the walls or something, whatever he's doing, just enjoying that, thinking he's small now and he'll be bigger later, and just this is the only time I'll have now with him when he's this small. and he's so adorable. And my daughter is the same thing. Instead, I focus on what was happening around me. And then there's this, no, you should worry about this. What if it doesn't happen this way? And then there's all this distortion. And the whole thing with the distortion practice is you learn to feel good no matter what. When you don't feel good, when I say feel good, it's not woohoo. It's more of that good you go when you go out into nature and you just see the trees and you smell the air and you just feel at peace. You're just enjoying being alive. The feeling of, I can just sit down here and I don't need to do anything. I don't need to move anywhere. That doesn't mean you won't. It just means that you don't feel the uncomfortableness that pushes you somewhere else. So I just focused on that, which was difficult because I had this strong feeling. But the good thing about having strong feelings and difficult things like that is that they, like, boom, smacking you in the face. You can't miss it. The distortion is so strong. So then it's like, oh, wait a minute, this is really dumb. Why am I doing this? And I want to stop it, but I can't. And then I look at that the whole time, and then eventually it actually let go, and I could walk around, and like there was this difficult thing happening, but it didn't need to affect me. And then ironically, the thing worked out like the best possible way that it could have. And it's not that I manifested that. It was just that when you stop fighting and when you talk to people and you go up to them, and imagine you have a conflict with someone and you need to sort that out. If you have this strong, like, well, I need to be like this and you need to fix this, otherwise I'm gonna be so angry and I'm gonna do all of this stuff. Or just using that as an example. Or if you go up to them and you say like, okay, look, this needs to happen like this. We need to do this. But you're coming from a reasonable point of view, not like the mad person who's just spewing out profanities. The odds of them helping you are much bigger, or the odds of you stumbling upon something that will help you are much bigger if you're actually open and aware of your surroundings than if you're going constantly inside like this. So yeah, there was a thought about how the distortion method, it's not the law of attraction, because someone said that to me. Well, it sounds just like the law of attraction. You should just enjoy like living as if though you have everything. Like, no, it's not about having stuff. It's about enjoying life no matter what happens, which is not always easy. And it doesn't mean that you won't have physical pain or that things won't go your way, that will always go your way. It just means that you can enjoy your senses no matter what happens. Let's see if anyone had any kind of questions. What kind of strategy do you have when your knees hurt, for example, when you sit? Well, I've been sitting with my legs just forward and sitting basically like this with my legs. And it was a really bad way to do it. It didn't work well at all because it's difficult to sit straight. It's really difficult to keep a straight back. Now I'm actually able to sit with, I have a, you can't see, but here there's a pillow here that supports my my knee. So I don't need to have any weight on it. And on the other side I have a blanket underneath it, so I don't have too much weight. And I just do it my best to sit comfortably. And I also don't push my legs too far in. So it's basically, you just have to feel. Generally speaking, if you feel sharp pain, you should always stop. If the pain lasts after you get up, then you have issues and should stop and find a different sitting posture. You can sit in a chair, work perfectly fine. I'd sit in a chair, put roll something behind you so you sit on a straight back. Don't lean backwards like that. That will not help you in your meditation. It's also really nice to have one of those sitting stools. I have one, but I can't find it. I'm going to have to find it. Basically, it's a plank like this and two boards, and you put your legs underneath. Very easy to sit like that, and you take the pressure off your knees. So that can work also. Let's see. JVB, I'm sometimes in meditative state when having conversation with people. Yeah, I had that a lot when I was ordained. I used to go into soft jhanas, the ones where you got to walk like this. It's like you're on drugs. It pulls down your eyes and you sit like this, and you kind of, I'm just talking about it now, I'm actually dropping into a feeling like that. And I would talk to people like that, and there's like no emotions, nothing coming up. You're just very, very soft kind of. And you can be in those states when you talk to people, absolutely. It's just that you're not really, it's not always the most productive way to talk to people. And if it's someone who doesn't actually meditate, but you're going out into the public or talking to a friend, it might be a little bit strange for them. unless we're talking about a non-centric state or non-dual state, that is probably the best way to interact with other people. I would say that there is no time when you will have nicer interactions with other people than when you're in a non-centric state. I simply don't think it's possible. Per definition, you take away you, so there's no conflict there. I mean, they might still like what you're saying, but there would be nothing hitting back and like fighting against it. You're just finding everything beautiful and everything enjoyable. Everything is just watching. So that's a really nice state to be in. But I don't call that a meditative state, because meditative state for me is a what do they call that? Like not hypnosis, altered state of consciousness, or like it's the distortion, but you make it feel different, but you still have the distortion, compared to non-centric or non-dual, which completely takes away the distortion. It actually doesn't really take it away. It's still there, but it's just so little that you don't feel it. Let's see, Mindful Mama. It's so nice to hear you talk about these things. I actually never meditate with you during the past few weeks. I'm doing yoga and just listening to the question and answers, or just your talk about these subjects. Nice. That's perfectly fine. It's like listening to an audiobook. Very nice. Thank you. It's not that you need to do the same thing. It's the idea of joining another group of people who are doing something focused is quite an experience. And usually a very nice such experience. Okay, I don't know if there's any more questions. I am also really tired. Before the sitting, I was like, oh, I could just lie down and sleep. And my fiance sometimes says that you can just skip it one time. Like, no, I find it important that I come here every week, because every one of you who are coming here have this as a routine, and if I said I'm going to be here at this time, I think it's important that I am, so that you can rely upon me, because that's important to have. And it's also really good for me, because it helps me keep up like practicing like this and streaming. And like I said, I think it was last time I talked about how I'd love to do more videos. It's just not time to do them, but this I can do because I sit anyway. It's just not that much extra effort. It's just, well, it is more effort, but not that much. Let's see, JVB. I've found that meditation has helped me focus. Helped me follow the flow of conversation, since my meditation practice has sort of trained me to adapt to flows of the moment. But that sounds good. That sounds more towards non-centric or non-dual states, because then you're basically just listening without reacting to everything, and it's just words coming in. And it can be that you kind of forget what people are saying, and they just talk, and it's just words, but the feeling meaning of them disappear, and you're just listening. And that tends to be the absolutely best way to listen to people, because they can feel that you're not trying to push them on anything or reacting to what they're saying. It's basically just an open space to talk. And it's what I do when I do my coaching calls. When people have difficult periods, I just sit and focus on how am I reacting to what they're saying, not thinking about why should I say that makes me sound smart, or that helps them, or that is the right thing to say. No, I just focus on how I'm reacting, how I'm distorting, and I'm making sure that I'm not distorting towards what they're saying. And then people tend to really enjoy talking or sharing in that kind of environment. Mindful Mama is saying, I have the opposite. Then JVB says, I find it more difficult to listen to people because I just hear the sounds. It can happen sometimes, and I am aware of my reaction. Yeah, it can happen in many different ways. And it's also important to be aware, JVB, that right now it works like that, but it could be that a year from now, a week from now, a day from now, 10 years from now, you have meditated and you go and talk to someone and you just can't follow what they're saying at all, and it just doesn't work at all. You can't relate to them, or nothing works. That doesn't mean that you're necessarily doing something wrong. It just means that it's different then, and that will change. Just like it feels this way now, but it will change later. I think if I would give any kind of general advice to everyone about meditation that always works, it's that whatever you're experiencing now, don't worry about it, because it will change if it's unpleasant. And if it's really pleasant, don't think that you've figured it out and it's going to be like this all the time, because that will change. It's just how it is. Tens of thousands of times I've thought, oh my goodness, I figured it out, or I'm so close now, it's not gonna, and then it changes. It does softly move towards something else, for sure. That seems to be the case. But the idea that we have kind of, we got the meditation part working now, and then it's going to be like this forever, that just doesn't hold true. And I had never really heard anyone say that does work like that. The thing that could work, that at least is my hypothesis, is that if you look at these distortions and clean them away, eventually you won't have anything to clean away. So then, hypothetically, there would be nothing left coming up. But I've never met anyone who's done that, and I haven't done that, so I don't know that for sure. Cool. Nice. Always nice having these conversations. And it was a really pleasant sit for me. So thank you, everyone. I enjoyed having you here. And we'll meditate again on Monday. Then it'll be guided meditation. I'm looking forward to it. Wish you all a pleasant weekend and a nice summer. Thank you.